It's like Eddie. The dog that Eddie knows. I'm free.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the West Seneca Town Board meeting for September the 10th, 2018. In case of an emergency, I would ask that you exit through the rear door, make a left or a right down the staircase to the rear parking lot or to the front lawn. Tonight's moment of silence will be to all those first responders on 9/11 and their families, and to all those in the United States military who continue to preserve our freedoms. I'd ask now that we stand for that moment of silence, and then I would ask Chief Dens to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is dedicated in memory of Sophie Pitai, Lawrence Thompson, Patricia Bushart, Mary Fitzgerald, and Chris Keskowski. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll?
Supervisor Megan.
Present.
Councilman Mark.
Present. Present.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of August 27, 2018.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Moving on to legal notices for proofs of publication and posting of a legal notice of a public hearing to consider a request for a special permit for property located at 290 Center Road, being part of lot number 102, 103, and 104, changing its classification from C2 to C2S to produce and sell wine and beer in the town of West Seneca. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Is the proprietor here? Okay, sir, if you would be so kind as to come up to the microphone, state your name, and just give us a report on your request from C2 to C2S for your special use.
Sure. My name is Brian Bookmiller. I'm a co-owner and VP of operations for Queen City Meadery. We would like to open a facility to create and produce a product called mead. Mead is a wine which is made of fermenting honey with water. It accompanies spices, fruits, many combinations. And we'd like to produce it and open a small tasting room and retail establishment in Suite 105 at 290 Center Road.
So if you, for those of you who aren't familiar with this location, just so the public, in case they have any questions or concerns, this is in the Wimbledon Plaza. And it's at the very last unit. It was recently occupied by a pharmacist.
That's correct. It's right next to what's now Buffalo Ultrasound on the corner.
Do you have a license as a farmer?
No, we will not be classified as a farm license. We're going to be a federally bonded winery, and we'll also be licensed through the state of New York as a winery as well.
And the capacity?
Capacity for production or customers? For production, we might produce maybe 400 gallons a month at most, and there's no limit when you're a fully bonded winery. You can produce as much as you want. You just have to pay taxes to the federal government and the state accordingly on how much you do produce.
So, Brian, as you're producing, where are you storing?
We'll be storing there. The product, depending on the alcoholic content, will need 4 to 12 weeks to age before we can bottle it and sell it at the establishment.
And you're doing all of that right there?
Yes.
And how many employees will you be looking to hire?
Initially, it's just going to be the 3 owners,
Okay.
Just because we're going to be producing amounts for a while until we can gain inventory. After we open, we intend to hire a few employees here and there just to cover the tasting room hours and retail space.
So the whole idea is you're going to produce this product and you're going to entertain in a tasting room, and that's how people will purchase this.
That is correct.
And the number of people allowed in the facility at any given time?
I don't know what's gonna be allowed, we'll determine that with our business permit, but I anticipate no more than 15 people at a time would be in there. The front area is gonna be relatively small because I would say 3/4 of the facility will be used for production and storage and aging in the back.
Very good. Board members, councilmen, do you have any
Yes.
questions?
Jeffrey, the occupancy rate, will you or your department make that determination? You know?
Yeah, should this move forward, we require building permits, we'll determine that based on size and seating and all that stuff. I will tell you that the applicant was at the planning board meeting to discuss the potential issues. There's no fumes, there's no chemicals, it's all contained within the space, so
And parking is more than adequate on the site?
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, this is not your first business of this nature, is it?
Yes, it is.
This is your first venture?
Yes,
Oh,
it is.
okay. If memory serves me right, it's not gonna be a cash bar, like where you sit there all night and have a few cocktails, right? It's where you
No,
can
no,
taste.
this is going to be very similar to a tasting room. If you went to visit a winery at Lake Chautauqua or the Niagara Trail, you come in, you try a couple small glasses, if you like anything, you buy a few bottles. We hope you buy a few bottles annually. We're also going to be selling at local farmers markets, local events throughout the Erie and Niagara region. We also intend eventually to sell to liquor stores and bars directly and distribute out of our facility down the road.
Thank you.
Okay. What I'll ask then, Brian, anyone from the public that has any comments, I would ask that you come up to the microphone and give us any of your questions or concerns, comments, etc. Okay, there being none, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Right, she's gonna read it out.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the application for the special permit for property located at 290 Center Road from C2 to C2S special permit to produce and sell wine and beer, noting that this special permit is limited to suite number 105, which is approximately 1,500 square feet.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Brian. Good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
You're okay.
Item number 2 in legal notices is a proof of publication and posting of a legal notice of a public hearing to hear all persons interested in the use of federal community development funds in the town of West Seneca. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Anyone from the public that has any thoughts, comments regarding the community development funds, please come up to the microphone.
Susan Kim's, excuse me, 99 Covington Drive. It's my understanding that these monies are used for areas with low income and possibly elderly residents, is that correct?
It's a low-income map that we get from the county, and any of those locations that are identified by that map, like Town Hall was in that map, so we were able to use the money at one point for a elevator, because it served the whole community. We also upgraded our senior center a couple years back, and we took care of some of the needs over there. So yes, we do use it on mostly 90% of the time. We'll use it there. We've also used it in different neighborhoods for ADA compliant sidewalks.
Okay, so as long as the majority of the money is used for those purposes, the rest of it can be used elsewhere in the town, is that?
It's all for those purposes, 100%. It serves the whole community.
I'd like to propose something that I probably have talked about before, and that would be a porter system for the elderly in this town, and the disabled, to help them get their recycling totes from their houses out to the street and back. We presently have elderly in this town that are not able to get their trash out for pickup, and it sure would be a bad thing if they had to leave their home because they weren't able to do that. These monies would help possibly set up and maintain the system.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kins. I will make a point to let Paul D'Orlando aware of that and see if there's an opportunity to set funds aside for someone for that kind of a part-time
And
job.
I did call and talk to them about it, and they said that this type of program would be eligible for it, and it's being done in other towns in the state.
Thank you so much. Anyone further? Okay, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I know Matt English has given us several streets that would qualify, Briarwood. There's a few others off the Center Road area that he would like to identify next year. A street like Briarwood is about $100,000 to
pave.
mill and pave. So, and we get $100,000. So, identifying that along with that will be our second request, Mrs. Kim's, for the town of West Seneca. Moving forward, is there anyone from the public that has a comment on any of the communications? If so, just come up and state the communication that you'd like to discuss. There being none, we're moving.
Okay, item number 3 under communications, which is the refunding bond resolution. It's my understanding that we're taking existing bonds and like trading them in for better interest rates.
That's correct.
So my question is, we have a $30 million sewer bond, and I want to know if that bond is included in the bonds that you're going to be trading in.
No, it is not.
I'm sorry.
It is not, no.
Item number 4,
So before you go on, there is some money assigned for sewer 13 pump station.
But that's a different bond.
Yes.
That pump station was apparently rebuilt in 2006. That's one of the 2006 bonds. I do have the list. I suppose if you wanted to hear it, you could read it off. So
would it be available online at all?
Oh, we can email it to you.
Yeah, we can provide it.
Yeah, an email.
Okay, anything further?
Item number 4, and that would be the office space for the chamber and the lease. Are we giving a new lease to the chamber, or are we
Right.
using?
We're just,
It's amended, right?
Dick is you can go ahead.
An amended list. Amended lease. We're going to create a hallway so that you can access the main meeting room from the community center side of the building. Okay, and it's going to come out of their space.
So the rent that they would be paying would be reduced
It's
and,
by the square footage.
okay.
I
and
think
then
that is part of the motion prepared by the town attorney, showing the new square footage.
Correct. We went from, it's down to 432 square feet from whatever the heck it was before. This is same square footage charge, it's just a reduction on a pro rata basis.
In
Yeah.
other words, we have to charge market rate, and we're going to continue charging a market rate, but for less square footage.
Also, so the actual rent amount will not change then?
The actual run amount will change.
The price per square foot remains the same. The total monthly rent will be reduced on a pro rata basis based upon the amount of square footage lost.
So I guess what I'm looking to see is what the actual dollar amount will be that they'll be paying monthly.
So in the lease, it is $540. That's Article 1.1, letter B.
And that's under the new terms then?
Yes.
That's all I had.
Thank you, Mrs. Kim. Anyone further? You said something? Oh, Mrs. Lukacek, I'm sorry, I can't see you, but go right ahead, Mrs. Lukacek.
Could you take the mic back to Mr. Lukacek?
I don't definitely. And Councilman Park, could tell us what number 11 is? I tried reading it, but it's a little too technical for me.
Okay, Mrs. Lukacek asked if you could tell her what number 11 is about. And that was the discussion regarding the Commerce Parkway.
Revision. What I'm proposing as part of that, and I think that because of the complications, we're going to table it tonight, but what I'm proposing is a public hearing on abolishing the Special Industrial Park Review Board, where the decisions on buildings in an industrial park are currently made, and turning that responsibility over to the planning board. I just feel that the planning board can do a more thorough job of it. There would be public hearings involved with anything in front of the planning board. And it's been many years since this was originally adopted. It was adopted in order to expedite the development of the industrial park, but I no longer feel that it's necessary to follow that procedure. So I'd like to have it at least reviewed, and that's what we're going to do. I've asked the town attorney and my partners on the board agree that about November 15th, we'll expect a report back regarding the complications and the details of if we were to go ahead with eliminating this committee.
Thank you. As a town board, are you satisfied with the occupancy at the industrial park?
I think we'd all like to see more over there. There's a lot of space that's still available over there. There are some businesses that are actively looking at those sites right now.
I've noticed that other communities, their industrial parks are expanding.
So
and
is ours.
moving beyond where they originally started. So I'd like to see some action. Now, is there any way we could get a sign?
There is new owners at the industrial park, and I'm currently trying to arrange a meeting between those new owners and the town board. We're going to ask them for certain things, for example, an updated signage, which is necessary. The new owners seem to be very enthusiastic about developing it, and I've also been involved in several meetings over the summertime with potential developers, and we do have at least two projects that looks like they may happen in the industrial park, two new projects. And over the last 2 years, we have Collins Heating, and which is a new build, and we also have, I think it was the Syconet, right? That was the other one. So we're working hard to get that done. It doesn't happen overnight, so we're constantly working on trying to attract business into our industrial park.
I hope so. Who sold the industrial park?
So,
Then, from what I can tell, Ms. Lukacek, it looks like there was a change in the ownership structure of the underlying property owner. Really can't tell too much who the individuals are involved from that point. Anything I would have beyond that would be anecdotal rumor, hearsay.
it's many years ago that the park was established by eminent domain, that's my understanding anyway. And eventually, I believe it was turned over to a corporation. The name of the corporation at this moment, I don't know.
North America Park Joint Venture. It's two joint venturers, one from Rochester, one from Buffalo.
Could you hear that, Mrs. Lukacek? Okay.
Okay.
So that's changing, and with new ownership, we're hoping to become active partners with them in attracting more business.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lukacek. Anyone further? Thank you, Brett. Moving on to communications. Item number 1 is from John Fence. Kindly adopt the attached resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the attached agreement for advance payment with New York State Department of the State. While it was performing construction along Route 400 Bridge, the New York State DOT made improvements to culverts along Harlem Road. To effectuate these improvements, the New York State DOT has acquired by way of eminent domain a simple interest of 9.1 acres for just compensation price of $6,000.
Second.
Anything on the question?
And just real quick on that, just to clarify, they're paying us $6,000 for that one tenth of an acre.
That's correct. Councilman Hardy, approximately this time last year, the state came in, they needed more room to put in a larger culvert pipe across Harlem Road, and I believe they took 20 acres of parkland, not 20 acres, 20 feet, 20 feet of parkland right at the entrance, and that was only to increase the size of the culvert pipe. We approved that approximately a year ago.
That's correct.
Now they're paying us for that.
No, it looks great over
It
there.
looks great.
Yes.
And I believe it's actually helped with the water backup situation that we used to have in that area.
Yes,
I think it's improved dramatically.
some pumps have stopped. Okay, moving on. All in favor? Aye, motion carried. Item number 2 is also from our town attorney. Kindly adopt the attached resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the attached agreement for advance payment with New York State Department of State while performing construction along the portion of New York State Thruway Interstate 90, which passes through West Seneca. The Department of Transportation requires temporary access to the Thruway via land northernly on the intersection of Ashland and Fairfax Drive. The New York State DOT has acquired by way of eminent domain easements of approximately 0.3 acres for just compensation of $9,000.
Second.
Anything on the
Just
question?
on the question, I'm assuming that this is going to give them access to the thruway reconstruction project that's going on right now. I'm also a little concerned about the potential for damage to Fairfax and some of the other streets. I'm assuming some larger vehicles and construction vehicles will be using that for access. Does anybody know, if we don't have our engineer, if that's the case, if we're going to have heavy equipment up and down that roadway? Do you know, Jeff?
The town pump station is there as well.
Yeah, I spoke with the folks at the DOT. At the DOT, what they said was this will have, and this is specific to the property. I don't know what they're bringing on over the street, what equipment they're using, but if there is any concern about the pump station itself, under common law principles, they're compelled to pay the town for any damages. I don't know.
Subsequently, get any large equipment up there, anyways.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you look at the map, I don't see what heavy equipment you could really get through there. They're irregular shapes. So
It
I,
almost looked like they were building some sort of access. That's what I was thinking, and I'm concerned that the road will be damaged, and I don't want that cost of upgrading the road to fall on our taxpayers.
yeah, and it's, with respect to the comment it being in, one of these easements, it's 2 portions, one's northerly, one's southerly. The southerly, I believe, is a temporary easement. The one that's adjacent to the pump station is a permanent easement. So I don't believe the one will have any sort of improvements made on top of it. And, well, actually, neither will. It's just merely access points.
Unfortunately, the engineer couldn't make it tonight, so.
Steve was involved with this. What happened was the DOT at first, they wanted to acquire these parcels. And we expressly said that they could not acquire the parcels due to the fact that we had just done the construction on the pump station out there. We had just
I
sunk some
seem
money into it.
to recall that in past years, snow plowing and so on did cause damage to that pump station. So now I'm just wondering what impact that will be. I guess I'll have to address it to the engineer. But I am concerned about the roads and that they be maintained or improved as a result, especially if they're going to be using heavy equipment.
Well, I would encourage you to just do a drive-by because currently they have railroad ties laid out and it's just to the north of the pump station and their work is mainly up on the thruway.
Yeah, the railroad ties would indicate to me heavy machinery being used in that area.
Right, it's coming in on a tractor trailer flatbed
Okay,
and
maybe
then they're
not.
unloading it there.
And I also noticed, Jeff, maybe you know something about it, there seems to be some kind of hookups to the water system on Middle Springs Road going up to the thruway. You know what's happening there?
Yeah, they coordinate with Erie County and acquire their own permits to utilize the water from the fire hydrants to service the project. It's all metered, they pay for all that, so.
Okay, so we're not involved in that. Good, thank you.
Good questions. Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 3 is also from John Fence. Kindly adopt the attached bond resolution authorizing refunding of all portion of certain outstanding serial bonds to the town of West Seneca in the amount of $3.8 million under current market condition. The net budgetary savings of refunding approximately $33.8 million of bonds issued between 2006 and 2010 is estimated to be approximately $110,000, $14,000 per year over fiscal years 2018 through 25. Adopting this resolution allows but does not require the town to proceed if interest rates remain favorable.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Excuse me. Item number 4 is also from John Fence. Kindly adopt a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute the amended lease agreement with the West Seneca Chamber of Commerce, a tenant for the reduced amount of 432 square feet of office space located in the community center and library located at 1300 Union Road.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Number 5 is from Chief Dens. Kindly change the status of part-time safety dispatcher Gerald Mazurkowitz to part-time seasonal from September 1st, 2018 through September 30th, and authorize the supervisor to sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 6 is from our town clerk. Whereas the town was awarded a grants management grant in the amount of $22,964 from New York State Education Department for the town clerk's office to work complete during the period of July the 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018. Whereas the cash received from this grant will be recognized as revenue in the general fund as general government state aid record management 1.1.3060. Therefore, let it be resolved that the town board does hereby authorize the budget amendment to increase the general government state aid records management 1.1306 by $22,964 for receipt of records management grant, and correspondingly increase the town clerk's record management expense and state grants 0.333 by $22,964 for the cost of records management for the year ended December 31st, 2018.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Hey, just a quick question. Madam Town Clerk. Exactly, do you know exactly what you're going to be using these funds for? And I'm assuming it'll be one of our part-time employees who will perform the service?
No, this is for the project in the assessor's office.
Okay, which is, okay.
Digitize all their property records.
Okay.
And we hired Jim Manley. That's one of the clerks. There's another one interviewing on Wednesday. This also involves a scanner and some software, and it's all for the grant.
Yeah, I was wondering if this was the grant that Mr. Manley was working on.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
And the important part and the takeaway from that, Councilman, is the reduction of file cabinets in our assessor's office, which will afford us the opportunity to make some positive changes to their work environment, because there's no room to move around in there. So for that, we are grateful. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 7 is from Lauren Massett, Recreation Supervisor. Kindly move to accept below the list of items for 2018-19.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 8 is from Lauren Massett, Recreation Supervisor. Kindly move to accept the updated bylaws for the West Seneca Youth Hockey Association. The West Seneca Town Attorney John Fence has reviewed the bylaws and have accepted them.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Yes,
All-
sorry.
No.
Counselor, why would we be approving the bylaws of a private organization?
It's a very good question, and the reason why we're approving the bylaws of the organization is the answer to this question. We have no role with this organization. When it was formed back years ago, the not-for-profit entity went ahead and adopted bylaws. Part of those bylaws at that time, for some reason, included a provision that said any amendments to these bylaws require approval by the town board. We were actually approached by West Seneca Youth Hockey about this, and when I saw it, I agreed with them wholeheartedly. They didn't want the town involved anymore, and the town of West Seneca has no role in an outside not-for-profit entity in its governance, finance, day-to-day management, anything like that. So these revised bylaws, in addition to making housekeeping changes for West Seneca Youth Hockey, remove any role of the West Seneca Town Board in approving the bylaws, and beyond that, the town never had any role.
This is the end of the last time you were performing this function.
Correct.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you, Councilman. Item number 9 is also from Lauren Massett. Please allow the supervisor to execute and enter into an agreement the documents with the West Seneca Central School District located at 675 Potter Road for use of the West Seneca Ice Rink.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 10 is from Steve Tanner. Please authorize the supervisor to execute the attached final change order to Masters Edge Incorporated in the deduct amount of $12,979.47. As you are aware, when bidding on the sidewalk restoration work, the bid accounted for all sidewalks needing replacement. However, some residents chose to replace them on their own. Therefore, the deduct reflects work that was unnecessary and not done. Feel free.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 11 is from the Honorable Councilman Dean Hart, and we're going to table that.
Right, I'll go ahead on that and second the table of this particular item. But I am requesting that our counselor, in recognition of very busy time we're going to be into, that I would be looking for, and the board would be looking for an answer on many of the issues related to this that we discussed with this afternoon's board.
Sure, I will, what I'll do is I'll start working on it. I'll give something to you that's kind of an outline, just to see if you think I'm going in the right direction, and then I'll really press it. Okay.
I think it's well worth having the conversation, but because of the nature of the beast and the involvement of private entities in this, it's more complicated than it first appears. So I am willing to have this tabled until the middle of November, when we'll have more answers as to the involvement of all parties.
Very good. Thank you, Councilman. Moving on to, this was a walk-in from Matt English. Please change the status of the following part-time seasonal laborers in buildings and grounds to part-time laborers effective September 1st, 2018 to September 23rd, 2018, at a rate of $10.40 an hour. Ryan Haddon, John Janka, Zachary Lambeck, Paul Orzewski. Also, please change the status of the following highway part-time laborers, buildings and grounds laborers from September 1st, 2018 to September 23rd at a rate of $10.40 an hour. Kenneth Hine and Devin Kutzbeck. And have the supervisor sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Another question, Maddie had talked earlier at the work session today that these employees will probably be, they will be assigned at the ice rink.
Very
Just
good.
for the winter.
Thanks, Bill. Councilman Hart.
We probably don't know how many hours we actually operate that ice rink doing without Matt here.
That's okay.
Okay,
All in
we'll ask
favor?
that question later.
Aye. Motion carried. The last one is a public notice from Jacqueline Felser. There's a 30-day period for inclusion of predominantly viable agricultural lands into existing agricultural districts. The County of Erie Department of Environment and Planning will accept applications from September 1st through September 30th. Any questions on the process should be directed to Erie County Department of Environmental and Planning. A public hearing will also be scheduled at a later date to consider all inclusion requests and recommendations from the County Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Pass that to Jacqueline. Motion carried. We're going to accept the report from our town clerk for July of 2018. Anything?
Ron, thank you.
It says July. Well, I don't know about that. We'll do August too. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll make a motion to accept the warrant.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Anyone from the public that has any comment, please feel free to come up to the microphone, make your comment. There being none, Jeff, do you have anything for us tonight?
I'll go first.
Oh,
Paul Pitlock, City of Rockland Lane. I believe it's been brought up before. What is the?
could you do me a favor, Paul, and speak into the microphone for us?
Fair
Thanks.
enough. What's the board's, what's the likelihood of having a budget committee that includes the public for the upcoming budget for this year?
Well, it's not quite as easy as you think to formulate that, but I have been working on a proposal. I don't know if it will actually be in place for this year's budget, but I'm certainly hoping we can do it next year.
Okay. A second question, I did hear this afternoon that the salt is going up per ton.
That's correct.
What roads do we do? Like,
Well, we do town roads, and we also have some of the county roads are.
some of the county roads.
We don't plow all the county roads in town.
The county roads, we have a contract with them, and they reimburse us for some.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Anyone further?
Good evening, my name is Teresa Gilbert, I live on Lydecker Road, and I recently had my neighbor's trees fall on top of my house. And this particular property next door to me has several trees that are dead, gigantic ash trees, that he does not maintain this property at all, and they pose an imminent danger to not only my home, but my life, and to the community. The town has been made aware before of this situation, did nothing about it. And I want to know what my recourse is now. And if any complaints were filed, do I have to issue a FOIL request? Any complaints against this particular owner of this property?
Okay, your concerns are a lot of neighbors' concerns. We have a lot of issues with ash trees here in town. Ash trees are the responsibility of the homeowner, not the town. So your concern is valid and understanding. This board, this town, we do not go in and remove the ash trees on private property.
So what you're saying is, even if my home and my life is in danger, and I'm a tax-paying citizen,
I'm not saying that.
this community, it doesn't matter.
Let me.
No, let the town attorney address
That
it.
this is, what you're addressing, is this on Lydecker Road? It's a narrow piece of property that is on the east side of the road, and it's currently for sale, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Do you live on the northerly side or the southerly side of the property? Do you live closer to Southwestern or further from Southwestern?
further from Southwestern.
Okay, I did go out there one day in November of last year with our highway superintendent and the code enforcement officer. And I also spoke with Matt English about this today. So this is not something that has gone unanswered with respect to that lot. And Matt told me he did.
Well, since then, 2 trees have fallen on my house.
Okay, and my analysis will continue the same though. So, what the issue is what is the authority of the town to act on somebody's private property? Believe it or not, a tree on a piece of property is a piece of a personal property that has a value to this person. The town can't go in like Elliott Ness and just start taking out what we need just because of a complaint like that. Matt has the highway superintendent has a specific set of authority with respect to trees that fall under our town code, and it sounds like you read it.
Well, it's interesting that you say that you can't do anything about this, that it's private property. Because in the town of Amherst, they put people on notice when their forestry department or whoever inspects the trees goes out to a property, and they say if the tree is dead and if it's an imminent danger to the surrounding properties and people around it in the community, They put the person, they send a letter and give them 60 days to remediate the trees, or they remediate the tree if it's not complied with.
We don't,
And then they charge the person on the tax roll, on their taxes.
I was, as I'm listening, and we've had this problem with other properties, I'm just wondering why we couldn't perform as Amherst does. For example, we cut grass, we board up buildings, and then we charge the property back taxes. Why would trees be different?
there would need to be a property code violation in order to do that. Looking through this, speaking at the time with our senior code enforcement officer and the highway superintendent, in their eyes, there was no code violation by which you could travel down that.
So what we should be considering, if it's legal, I don't know, Jeff, maybe you can help.
I think,
Shouldn't we be considering a code change?
well, I think the first thing is, and I believe I spoke to you, correct?
Yes, you did.
We do remediate immediate hazards, right? Trees that have snapped and are hanging over somebody's property line, or the leaning ones. Those are addressed, you know,
Okay,
immediately. But
the imminent danger here is there's no drainage on this property. Many of the trees are dead on the property. And I'm talking about 200-foot tall ash trees that are completely dead, have no leaves on them, that weigh as much as a car, that could crush my house at any minute. So I'm standing before this board and I'm appealing to you, not only as a citizen, but as a person who is petrified every time the wind blows. I'm petrified, I'm a prisoner in my own home because of these trees. It's a matter of time before another tree comes down. I was lucky that the last strike, which happened on August 28th, and it wasn't even that windy, it was not a remarkable windy day. 2 trees crashed down on my house, I wasn't home. If I was home, the panic that would have ensued, I can't even describe, number 1. Number 2, the next tree might kill me or my family. And I don't accept that it's private property. It's private property, that's true, but these trees are clearly dead and they are a hazard waiting to happen.
Can I ask, have you talked to the owner of that property?
Yes, I have.
And what is his response to you?
He said they're God's trees.
And did you contact your homeowner's carrier?
I did.
And are they going to subrogate against him?
I have to put him on notice. Now, the people that live on the other side have also had dangerous trees fall on their property. Luckily, narrowly missing their homes. But the one time a giant tree fell on their back lawn, just as the person that owns the property was gonna go out there and mow their lawn. Okay, so his wife said he really did have a near-death situation going on.
Right.
She contacted the owner, he said the same thing to her. He said, none of those trees have my name on them. If you don't like them, cut them down yourself. That's what he told this neighbor, and I have their name, I have all their contact information, and they're completely willing to corroborate me and back me on this. And actually, she even said that this town of West Seneca sent this person a letter that said, you need to do something about the trees, and it was never followed up on. So you went so far to warn the guy, but nothing ever happened. And now 2 trees fell on my house.
From what I'm hearing at this point, we need to put,
Ma'am, did trees fall on your house?
Yes, 2 trees fell on my house.
Okay, do you know, when did they fall on your house? Do you have-
August
Do you
28th,
have
at around
pictures?
3, I have a ton of pictures.
Okay, thank you. Would you be able to send those to me?
Yes, I would like to get everybody's card, because everybody's gonna get emails from me about this. And I need to open up a dialogue with everybody here, so that we can partner to remedy this situation, because every day I live in fear, and there's a hurricane on the shores of this country that could bring pretty severe winds in our area,
Absolutely.
and I'm scared to death right now. And I'm appealing to you to help me, please.
I want to ask, has your homeowner's carrier offered you any assistance?
No,
have you asked them for assistance?
yes.
Ma'am,
They,
what I'll do is I'll help you. Here's what we'll do.
Yeah.
It'll be a hybrid solution. What you're dealing with is somewhere in between a neighbor dispute and an issue for the highway superintendent. It does not fall squarely into either of those worlds. It straddles both. Send me an email, give me a call, and I'll do what I can for you from the angle of what the town has the authority to do. But I do want to temper your expectations. Like I said earlier, it might not be that Elliott Ness
Well,
type activity you're looking for.
it's kind of funny that the town of Amherst acts swiftly and gives people 60 days when there's an imminent danger to the community. I'm part of this community and I pay taxes.
Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like we have any teeth in our ordinance.
Exactly
in that
right.
situation.
So we need to.
And I'd like to remediate that. I'd like to have a proposal as soon as possible to do it. And number two, Jeff, are you available tomorrow? I'd like to see this property. We'll go up there, take a look. In your knowledge, is there any way, similar to what we would do on emergency demolition on a building, can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, we address the immediate ones. If they snap over, we can call and have them removed.
Yeah, but
It's just these judgment calls.
These-
So I don't disagree that it's dead, but somebody's tree is somebody's tree and their kid carved their name into it and they don't want to take it down. Not what we do. Or somebody that has 20 trees that have to be removed and the bill's $80,000.
Well, in your experience,
So,
do all municipalities take the same posture as Amherst? Or do they all take it the way we do? Because obviously with this Emerald Ash issue, I know Senator Kennedy was looking to find money for each homeowner to help relieve the cutting down of the trees, but to cut down some of those trees, it's like $1,500 a tree.
That's why this particular property owner actually had the nerve to tell us to pay to cut down his trees.
That's not acceptable.
It is not acceptable.
This isn't acceptable. But, we're gonna work on this. This is an absolute necessity in the situation that you're in. But again, like the town attorney said, we cannot afford this to every single resident. It depends, just like every situation we have in town, when we have an area that is of public safety, we immediately respond. We need to respond due to this new situation. It's not that new, it's
No.
about 6 years old with these emerald ash trees, and it's getting worse and worse. I know our town clerk, her and her husband must have taken down, how many, 20, 30 in your backyard? At least.
And I'm not even asking, all due respect, I'm not even asking him to cut it all the way down. Cut it down far enough so that it doesn't have range to hit my house.
Exactly.
That's all I want.
It's a fair ask, and we're gonna do whatever we can to help you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we'll take a ride, Jeff, and you can show me what the situation is. And I think that possibly the town attorney maybe start working on an amendment to our tree ordinance to give us some teeth in these matters.
And this is what, the big global idea behind this is the town board, the town of West Seneca proper never want, and I'm not saying that's what this is, never wants to be involved in a neighbor dispute. Once you start straddling the issue between a public issue and a private issue, you may be dragged into a neighbor dispute, and that's why inherently it's in the best interest of the board as stewards of the taxpayers to make sure that they're acting solely in the public interest and not for the direct benefit of a private individual.
But I think the town board is acting in public safety,
Correct.
so that's what.
And I'm not the only neighbor.
No,
This has affected the neighbor on the other side, and other folks have.
and I know exactly what you're saying, and it's not just to your neighborhood on Lydecker. Every neighborhood is important, but this is throughout, not just our town, but all towns. But we need to address it, we need to address it as a public safety issue. I appreciate your time this evening bringing it to us, and we will act accordingly.
Thank you, I appreciate listening.
Absolutely, thank you. Mr. Clark?
Mr. Clark. I'd like to do a little follow-up here. In recent town board meetings, it's been discussed as far as the streetlights in the town. Now, not a whole lot of people know, but when did we take over the streetlights, the brackets, and the telephone poles, when it used to be done by a utility company at no cost to the town? Right now, it's had a cost to the town to do all of this work, am I right?
Well,
The only thing we will be doing is fixing the streetlights that are not working. We won't be replacing wires. We'll do photo cells, light bulbs, and fuses.
Well, then somebody better go over to Middle Spring and Harlem, because there's a telephone pole that was knocked down. And right now, the electric company didn't take it off the property, but it was busted up and broken at the ground. The town of Wasaga did. Now, I was told, and I was informed, that right now, the town of Wasaga is responsible to replace that telephone pole. And it's gonna cost a couple $1,000 because they gotta put the pole in, they've gotta put the bracket in, and they gotta put the light in. Now, that's one of many, many poles the town of Wasaga is, from what I understand, and you guys can correct me on this, how many poles does Wasaga have right now that they took over from the electric company? And part two of it is gonna be, because this could be very lengthy. In the long run, I'm afraid this is gonna cost the taxpayers an awful lot of money if we took over that system. And the big question here is, why would we do it at a cost to the taxpayers when we had it done for free?
As far as I know, because I know the next speaker is going to be asking the same questions, I'm not aware of any poles that this town has taken over. We have some leased, I believe. We may own one or two. I don't
Bill,
know.
our engineers have there's a Schedule A that comes along with the agreement that sets forth everything that the town acquired in the process. There's like 4 or 5 documents that comprise the entire deal. One of them is, there's the purchase of street lighting agreement, and that includes arms, bulbs, all that stuff. And there are some poles that are included with that. However, we are also entered into a pole attachment agreement. There are poles where the town specifically only owns the arm and the light. As my understanding from the engineers is, the poles that we own is infinitesimal as compared to what we don't own.
So, can I safely say that this was originally done by the engineering department, not the town board? Somebody must know what they signed on them agreements.
I'm gonna get you a copy of all those agreements, they're public information,
Okay.
We can sit down and go through it all together if you
But
want.
this is already signed, Sheila, so,
This is
I mean,
like
hopefully
years
we
ago.
knew what we signed and what we're getting.
And we
One
do-
other thing too, with respect to your question about the cost with it, energy performance contracts are something that are created differently by statute that require who your energy performance contractor is to compensate the town for any savings that they were supposed to realize for it. So the idea behind it is, it's pursuant to the contract, it's a net neutral event to the town. So we're supposed to realize a savings in the amount to which we contracted. So even if we don't quote unquote realize those savings, the contractor, the energy performance contractor, is supposed to compensate the town for that difference.
Okay, well, like I said, in the long run, what is the town's portion of paying for all this? And God forbid if we ever do like the young lady that just mentioned about the storm coming up with, trees being knocked down and stuff like that. Hypothetically, let's just say we lose 50 poles. How's the town gonna afford to spend all that money for 50 poles when we have to contract people to do that because we don't have the people to do it?
I don't think we own 50
We don't
poles.
own 50
How
poles.
many, well, I mean, like I say, someone had to sign this contract, so somebody must have known what this included.
It was done after public hearings, et cetera. You were on the board, Mr. Clark, so you know. But anyway,
Don't
in
tell me I was
addition,
on board when we done this.
you were, so you understand the process, that's all I'm saying.
You're right.
You're a bright guy, I know you are, and you understand the process.
And you're right.
So
And
we went
did-
through that process.
We did not pay for nothing when I was at the door, Mr. Hart.
Well-
It came out of the electric company's pocket, not the town of West
Well,
Side.
Jill, the cost of electricity in this town was huge. What we did is took all the incandescent bulbs or the halogen bulbs, and we replaced all of those light bulbs with LED bulbs. It has reduced the electric cost of this town considerably, and we were looking for a 3-year payback time. We could not achieve a 3-year, I believe it's a 5.5-year payback time. After 5.5 years, the money that we spent up front will start coming back to us in the cost of electricity savings.
So the bottom line is, we are in the red, not the black, on this project that you took over.
We're close,
And
we're close.
only
to
got,
that.
only God knows if it's gonna be that way 5 years down the road.
Another point.
We
That's
could,
okay.
we could have paid for halogen bulbs, and we could have paid for the fluorescent tubes and everything for the next 30 years, and we would have paid for that too.
The
Why,
other,
why would you pay for that when the electric company was doing it?
no,
Well,
the
we
point
paid for
was,
it.
they
Parky,
weren't,
we paid that.
We paid for the electricity.
It comes out of the lighting district.
they weren't, no,
Right.
there's general fund lighting,
There's general
there's
fund.
special district lighting, it's all kinds of lighting.
And we're not the only municipality that went in that direction. Since we've done this, I can't even tell you how many municipalities are doing it. Because it's a savings, it's an absolute savings to each municipality that participates.
Any way we could
The-
find out
the
the long
other-
run at the end of the year if we're in the red or the black on this project?
Well,
Absolutely.
Danforth is supposed to do this report, we may have one or two of them now. But anyway, the other issue was, there was a charge, and I forget what they call it, but there was like $20 a pole for every West Seneca light, they charged us an extra $20. That also went away with this program when we acquired the supports for the lights.
So can I ask one last question, because you could run it on with this, but is Danforth making money on this, or is the engineering department making money on this?
I would assume both of them make some, I would assume Danforth, I'm not sure about our engineers, but I would assume Danforth, if the project's done properly, would make money. If it fails, it's gonna cost them money, because that's the contract.
Okay, and, well, one last question, because time and time again with the engineering firm, years ago, like I said, we got rid of ours because we were gonna save money, and right now, I would love to see how much the engineering department is making off this town of West Seneca with all the projects and extra money that they are making. Wouldn't the town, in the long run, be better off with our own engineers again?
Maybe.
I mean, the library alone, that gentleman said he made $600,000 on.
Well,
That's
it's a
just one
community
project.
center and library.
Pardon me?
It's a community center and library. It's
Well,
not
whatever
just
you
a
want to call
library.
it, $600,000.
It's not just a library.
It's American money.
You never know, Clarky. You know what? We might be better off going back to in-house engineers.
Well, by all means,
Something
we
to
didn't
think
pay our
about.
engineer that much money, and that's just one project.
We didn't have any
because-
projects either,
Well,
Clarky.
I'm
They did
saying-
0 with our sewers, they did 0 with the infrastructure.
Sewers, how much,
There was
they got $7
nothing,
million
nothing
sewer,
done.
and that guy's getting how much out of that?
Well, again, you,
Well, you think I'm fortunate enough to town of Seneca where we are better off, a lot better off by bringing in our own people, because I know the two gentlemen we had here when I was on board, they didn't make that kind of money, they were far from making.
and nothing got done.
But
And
I'll
nothing
let
got
that go.
done. But thank you,
You are gonna give
Clarky.
me down the road, at the end of the year, you're gonna show us the pros and the cons on it, and how much we made or how much we spent?
Yeah, I want you to come over and hang out in my office and we'll go over the
No,
figures
no,
together.
I got enough fun with you people.
But, Dale,
Or how many at Tim Hortons?
One more point I wanna make. I know that when I came on the board, one of the biggest complaints I got was that the electric company was not repairing the streetlights. So now, at this point, no longer do they control whether the light's out or not, we do. So we can react a lot quicker and take care of that problem.
I agree.
There were hundreds of them.
I agree 110% with you.
And we were paying for them, and they weren't operating.
That's just it. When I was on the board and everything else, I don't know why we paid them, that's not the services on the electric company part, because we're paying for a service we're not getting.
You're right.
You try not paying your electric bills, you have better
Yeah, I agree with
But
you.
yet they got away with it.
You are right, you're right.
You're right.
Dick Wood, 29 Center Drive.
Could you use the microphone?
Yeah, you gotta use the mic.
Dick Wood, 29 Center Drive. I got a copy of your contract, Sheila, that you signed with my signature. I've read all this stuff all the way through. There's a lot of stuff that the town owns. You guys probably don't even realize they own it. We got a system that's badly deteriorated. Poles are rotted all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes, Gene. Gene, take my word for it. If you have a problem here with wind or a bad storm, the town is gonna pay a lot of money to restore these plates, big time. And as usual, Steve Tanner's not here. Try to get a hold of this gentleman to ask him the questions. It's like talking, you can't get a hold of Danforth either. Nobody wants to talk about this because it's a failure at this point. You pay the contractor to do the work, and the work's not finished. There's a lot of lights that haven't been replaced yet.
We're after them.
Okay, I hope so.
Mr. Devoto, if we own all the telephone poles in town, why did the electric company just come through, inspect all of them, replace the ones that were bad, or they drill the holes for core samples? Why would they do that if we own the poles?
The electric company wanted in the worst way to get rid of those poles.
But they're maintaining them, why would they
No, we're
maintain
not
them?
maintaining them.
You
No,
look at-
it's
you look-
not.
You look at
Yeah.
all on your street, you'll see yellow plugs placed on.
Yeah,
the
you
back.
got West Seneca stencils on poles, don't even belong to West Seneca. They don't
That-
belong to them.
That identifies the light only.
The light
It's
only.
identifying the light only,
We
you've got
own the
two
light-
guys that are
we
working for
own
the
the
town
light
in a
only.
yellow bucket truck that are going up there and working on high voltage without proper protective equipment. That's the second thing. Now, who's gonna accept the problem, the liability of that, and one of those guys gets electrocuted?
I mean, I don't have
Oh,
the highway
Gene.
superintendent ask, oh, come on.
No,
You're such an
Gene, take it easy, okay?
You-
No, I am, I'm fine.
I'm telling
But I
you.
know what I'm talking about, I know what you got in, I know what you guys got here in writing, and Sheila, you signed it. Okay, and you read through this thing, and you're talking about the budget problems in the town, the library, the whole 9 yards. Why would you take on streetlights? And then overall, the stuff besides that? And there's nobody here in the town, there's no designated contractor, this is not an electrical contractor, this is gotta be a line contractor. Acceptable to license. It's right in black and white, you signed it. Now, you got lights out, you got lights that haven't been done, and you call Danforth, you don't get a return phone call. You call Steve Danner, he pushes it to Danforth. Okay, there's no safety here. What's gonna be done with this? Now, like you said, you replace poles on Tampa, the town replaced the poles. You change the wire, change the mast head, we watch them. We watch them in the bucket, the whole 9 yards. No safety, no hard hat, no harness in the bucket, 40
Mr.
feet up.
Shuley, you said that at the last meeting, and you say you watch these guys do the work all the time, but you've never shown us a picture of the town doing their work.
Because I didn't take pictures of it, because, no, hang on a second.
We all have stuff, we all have.
Mr. Hanley, the last time I came here, last meeting, you directly lied to me, to my face and my wife's face, telling me that we were only responsible for the fuses.
That's correct.
Okay, it doesn't say that in here.
The
There's
fuse-
pictures here there's pictures in this book with all this stuff in it, signed by our supervisor.
The fuses, the photo cells, and the light.
Yeah,
the
that's
light
fine.
bulb.
That's fine, but what about the poles when they're broken? What about the wires when they're broke down? What about the things in the trees in the backyards that are burned up and are not working?
I can't answer that. You keep coming to the meeting saying that
Who's
we're
gonna
doing
fix it?
Well, you keep coming to the meeting saying that we're doing the work, but you've never shown us.
All right, I'll go
Because
around,
I'd say-
I'll go around with a video camera and I'll get these guys,
You showed me a
and
picture
then
of
I'll
it.
take it to the town attorney, and he can,
You also said at the last meeting that we put in a transformer at the CCL next door.
That
Now, you-
transformer-
wait a minute, let me finish.
All right,
You said we put in a transformer that is not being used. I left the meeting that night, I went next door, I put my hands on the transformer and I put my ear against it. It was warm and it was buzzing. What you're doing is stirring everybody up with stuff that is not true.
all right. How do you know the transformer's not being used? Just because it's buzzing?
Well, what else?
How do you,
A
no,
trans-
electrically speaking, how do you know that that transformer isn't feeding in the building?
You said it wasn't working. The transformer was buzzing and
When
it was
we,
warm. I know
when
what
we looked at that
transformers do.
transformer, the doors on the transformer were wide open. You had kids and people getting off of
I'm gonna say that's not true.
Well,
That is not
Mr.
true.
Hart was there that day, he seen me, I was in an orange jumpsuit watching the thing. I was over there, I witnessed the whole thing.
You get a
What did you
picture?
witness?
Huh?
What are you talking about? What
You were standing outside, when we ripped that pole out of the ground over there.
You did what?
We took that pole, it was next to the library on Legion Drive up. It sat there for quite a while. We took it out. And when we took it out, we noticed the doors in the transformer were wide open. So we looked. Inside the transformer was completely empty. There were no wires, nothing in there. Just a tub sitting there. There was nothing. And the thing of it is, there's no lock on it.
That's not.
So,
There is a
since
lot.
then,
There is a lot.
no, there wasn't, Mr. Hanley. Since then, Fry Electric's been back 3 times. So obviously, somebody said something, and it's been heated up or connected. But the bottom line is, what's it feeding?
Fry Electric has been back to work on punch list items at the CCL.
Yeah, we seen them over here the other day.
Okay.
I know the guys that are working
All
on
right,
it.
put the
The
transformer.
bottom line is, look, if you don't understand something, ask. Now, nobody knows everything. But the point of it is, you in your situation, talking to Mr. Tanner, okay, he's the guy that should be supplying the technical information to you, not you. But that's not happening, there's no communication. You can't even get a hold of this guy on the phone. And then when you do get a hold of him, I gotta talk to another engineer. We'll get back to you. That never happens. 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks go by. You call them again, you can't get them on the phone. They put me through, I get a voicemail. I leave my name, message, I don't get no return phone calls.
I called Mr. Tanner twice today, he answered both times.
Well, he doesn't answer for me. I'm gonna want to know why he's not answering for me. But I wanna hear that from him about that transformer. Tell him, he's not here again tonight.
He had an issue at his house that he had to stay home.
I got an issue at my house too that hasn't been addressed, and I talked to Sheila about it last time I was here. And that means the dumpsters that are being dropped in the plaza at 4 o'clock in the morning are exceptionally loud, and we talked about World War III going on back there. I just talked to Officer Dez about this. How much longer is this gonna continue? You do have a noise ordinance that I think is in effect from 11 at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. Now, it was bad enough when China One was over there, because you had the kids and everything out the back until all hours of the morning. They're gone, that place is closed. But the dumpsters are still being dumped, and they're still being slammed on the ground. You got a lot of older people down that street. Also, you got kids. Why is this continuing to happen? Why do I gotta keep calling this guy, the police? It's not the cops, somebody in the plaza. What is it? What, did you speak to these people? Last time I talked to you, did you speak to them?
Yes,
What did they tell you?
that they would look into it.
Is Jimmy Captain, please? Oh. Now I see why there's problems, I really do, I mean, gee, oh. All right. John,
You got it.
paperwork I asked you for, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone further?
Oh, waste of time.
Sorry, I'm like a bad penny that keeps coming back. Susan Kim's 99 Cumberland Drive. Just, and these are small items, but if we could, Bob could go through on. 2016, 2017, the employee salary reports are not online. We have 2008 through 2015. In the past, when I have foiled these salary reports, when they're released to me, they're put online. So I'm wondering why it is that we don't have 2016 and 2017.
You asked this already, and they're putting it online. You made this request last week,
We're figuring,
so we're putting it online.
I talked to finance today, that will be, once payroll is done this week, next week, that information will be made available.
So it'll be on there before the budget.
Bless you.
Yes.
So I did see an email go out there where they asked about that those two files never transferred over with the computer program. And the email went to finance and they are getting that information for you. It just never transferred over with the other data.
So our payroll clerk has to generate a certain report, and then that report will be posted. Don't ask me the technicalities.
No, we're in payroll right now. I just finished payroll myself on that side, but it's coming to you. We got your request.
Yeah, because like when I got the 2017 report,
It's
it was
okay.
a very huge report,
It's
so.
a huge document, and it's something that we will definitely comply with your request, Mrs. Kim. Anything further?
When Matthew talked this afternoon, he addressed the cost to fix the basketball hoop over at Dorrance Park.
I got an email about that. It was, and I don't know if I can find my email, but it was approximately $300 for general welding, but that was only for a portion of it. I don't think the whole repair cost was more than $500. So, yeah, I can get you that. They did send it to me. I just don't recall it. I do have it on email. It's about for less than $500 for the repairs.
Previously, I had questioned about fire pits, and we discussed the fact that we, in the town, do not have our own code for fire pits. It falls under the state's code. And so if you would like, I would.
We're working on a fire code. We're gonna have a public hearing on it in the next couple of weeks, so we're working on that, Mrs. Kim.
Jeff is, our code enforcement officer has given us a recommendation, we're looking at it now.
Okay, because the state code does state that if the smoke bothers your neighbors, that it's.
Absolutely becomes a public health issue, yes.
And also, we're putting a new window in for Lauren.
It's for recreation, it's not just for Lauren,
Okay.
but it's for recreation department.
Okay. Any idea what the cost of that was?
It's about $2,000.
And And I did have one suggestion. We're now, we had our afternoon meeting, the work session was recorded, video,
Correct.
and this meeting is. I'm wondering if we could go ahead and do this with the planning board, the zoning board, the ethics. Would that be something that would be,
Sure, it's something we could look at, we never thought about it, but sure, we can have a discussion about that.
because it, I mean, it looks like we're just using a microphone and a phone to facilitate that, so I was wondering if we couldn't just go ahead and put those other meetings online too.
Thank you, Mrs. Kimms.
And one more.
Okay, no, it's all right. Go ahead.
Status on the Birchfield.
John Fenn's word to that.
Birchfield, each of the parties has been served with the summons and complaint in that time frame. Everybody was served personally. They have to come up with a response within 20 days. Typically, folks would serve an answer. At this time, those folks have chosen to engage in motion practice, seeking to have the case dismissed on the basis of the statute of limitations issues, which the public has been aware, the board has been aware the entire time. We have a unique legal argument here, and we knew it was going in this direction.
So it's still active, it's not a.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anything further? Okay, will you, Karen needs the microphone. Oh, wait, there's someone else. Okay.
Dave Kim's, Covington Drive. I'd like to revisit the idea of the budget committee. I would like to suggest that it just doesn't, you don't put this together just before the new budget comes out. This should be a permanent committee. I don't know about the size, I mean, that's debatable. You had mentioned business people on it, that's fine, but I think a lot of ordinary citizens should be on it. But there's a lot of suggestions, I think, that could come to how the budget should look so people can understand it. It needs a lot more information, so a guy like me that isn't the brightest bulb in the chandelier could look at the budget and understand some of this stuff. But anyway, I think it's something we need, and I'd like to see you guys work on it. Of course, you know I agree.
Yes, thank you,
Good.
Mr. Kimms. Emily, if you would take the microphone back to Mrs. Lukacek. Oh, never mind, Mrs. Kimms has jumped in. There you go.
Sorry about that, my legs just don't seem to be working tonight. I don't know if Mr. Clarkey is still here, but he was on the board when Mr. Mons was the town engineer. Mr. Mons sat there every board meeting, had all kinds of complaints, never answered them to anyone. When the new company took over, the first thing I asked Clark Patterson, did you find list of complaints, mainly about the sewer system?
Right,
There wasn't one,
correct.
not one. So you're wrong on that, Mr. Clarkey. That would be the worst thing to go back. I don't,
Wait, let her speak,
I don't know
Clarky.
what the hell she said.
Just, it's okay, just let her
you
continue.
couldn't hear what I said?
Yeah, what was I wondering?
That we should have in-house engineers.
Well, here's an answer for you, sweetheart.
Okay,
I
honey.
wanted to know to have them people brought in here. I was the only one who wanted to know to keep our own people in here.
Well, she's
Mr.
opposed,
Mons
she's
wasn't worth
opposed.
anything.
Okay,
She's
well,
opposed to that, but Clarky, please don't engage. Okay, Mrs. Lukacek, continue.
Yes. I just have a few things. I got, is it Code Red that makes the telephone calls?
Correct.
Okay. Now, this is what my Code Red sounded like. Attention, push any key for important message. And it was announcing the car show. I don't think that's an important message. And you know what? I can't tell you how many of those kind of calls I get, push this key, push that key. We don't answer them. They're all on my recording machine. That's, they're gonna help me save my credit rating. I have a very good credit rating, I hope to keep it. But to have Code Red call and announce that this is important and to push any key, first, I don't know who's calling, it sounds like community. Can't they just say West Seneca?
And I did not get that on my phone, so I'm not sure why it came to yours that way.
Come over, you can hear it, I've saved it.
No, I have no problem coming over, Mrs. Lukacek, but I believe you. I just know that, This was a request from the police department, the PBA, the chamber. They really wanted just that friendly reminder. We do the same friendly reminder. Code Red isn't just for emergencies,
I
but
understand.
I guess the delivery is off and we need to fix
It's
it.
very off. If it would just mention West Seneca
I'm on
community, that would be a little different thing.
I'm on it.
Karen, I just want to, before you want to keep going, you're right about the code red, I got the same message. I think the important takeaway is not only promoting the car show, but they wanted to let the residents and the people know that Union Road was going to be shut down.
I understand that too, but it's, the whole setup of that is wrong. I'm
Okay.
not gonna take much time, I just want you to know, since Amherst has been, you know, kind of showcased tonight, I happened to read, Mr. Culp's statement in the paper. He is asking for the elected officials to get no pay raises. I'd like to go one beyond that and suggest that department heads also get no pay raises at this time. I looked at the past and I looked at the increases last year. I was stunned by the dollar amount increases some people got. To me, I don't think private industry is doing that. So I would like you to consider that, not to have these pay increases. I know you're stuck with it because of unions, et cetera, but there's a lot of people that are earning some big bucks and they really don't need that increase again. Please eat that when you do your bills and your budget. Also, this is a small minor thing, but I can't read the budget, it's very difficult. I brought this up before, the animal control building. I have not seen it, so I don't know how big it is, it must be
It's
large.
right near the transfer station, but we just got a grant to fix, shore up the walls and put a new roof on.
I hope you put some insulation in.
We have.
$3,000 for heat. My house isn't a little tiny ranch, and it's not a mansion. I pay about $1,000 a year. I've got a 4-bedroom home, living room, dining room, family room, kitchen, couple bathrooms. So what is $3,000? The telephone is the same.
It's that whole complex, Mrs.
Yeah, I was gonna
Lukachev.
say.
It's not just, but that's the main building on there, but they're all at the transfer station. There is another 2 buildings.
That may be where the meter's actually located, but that bill would be for the sewer department in the back also.
All of that.
And Carol,
And some offices in that transfer station.
Carol, when we come up with that $3,000, that we look at last year, how much was actually spent, and then we say, do we have to increase or decrease a little bit? So we always look at the last year and the year before to see how we're doing. If there's an insulation problem, then we have to add some insulation.
Well, in one respect, it seemingly is better than it was in the past. I remember when we were paying someone to sew patches on their uniforms. I offered to do that, but Mr. Clark, former supervisor, didn't want me touching his uniforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lukachev. Anything further?
Yeah, I'd like to at least defend myself, I mean.
Well, Clark, there's, no,
Clark the supervisor.
Clark the supervisor.
But as far as the earlier one.
It's okay. You're fine. She disagreed with your, wait, now I can't see you, Clarky, so come on up, because I know you want to talk.
I'm accused of something.
I
I'd like to
can't,
know.
no, all she was saying, Clarky, is that she disagreed with your ask to bring back the town engineers. She found them not as capable and the work that has been accomplished with Clark Patterson as opposed to the ones that we had. The ones we had as in-house didn't do anything with the sewer.
How did my name get mentioned then?
She just disagreed with you
She
because
disagreed.
you want to keep, you wanted to go back to
When she
the.
said that I was on the board and I didn't do something.
Well, I
No,
think.
she said
no,
she
she's saying-
disagreed, you said no to Clark Patterson.
That's right, thank you.
She disagreed with you, she thinks us going with Clark Patterson was the best thing for the town. That's all that was said.
Oh,
That's
she's
all
got-
that was
She
said.
got no problem then with the hundreds of thousands
She
of dollars.
has no problem with the fact that the sewers and infrastructure have been taken care of after decades of decay. That's what she's saying. Thank you. Next.
Gary Dixon, Union, 543 Union Road. Just something I heard, this fire pit issue, so there's a state law, but we don't have a code.
We're umbrellaed under the state law. We do have a code. What we're going to do is look at the code, enhance it. It's a conversation that we're going to have a public hearing on.
Right, but we could enforce the state
Of
rules
course
right
we
now.
can.
The
right?
DEC enforces the state code.
But I was just
So
gonna
it's
say that.
state rules and regulations, so the DEC would be in charge of that every year. So what the idea then is with adopting the fire pit ordinance or something to regulate that, the town needs to carve it out in a manner so that we're not stepping into a regulated area that the DEC already has, and we're carving out our own little area. We don't want, them within 20 feet, 5 feet of a house, you need to be in this type of a pit. The DEC doesn't have something where our town code enforcement office could, or the town police could declare something a nuisance, and then folks would be in violation of something. So this gives us a little bit more local autonomy to address those issues.
So the provisions in the state rule about, the smoke being irritant or whatever, only the DEC can enforce that? Is that what you're saying?
It's my understanding that New York State codes and regulations that fall under the auspices of the Department of Environment and Conservation are enforced by the Department of Environment and Conservation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyone further? Mrs. Toy?
Yes, Troy, 97 Birch. I heard you talking about the kennel over there. When you're doing things, could you spray paint those cages on the outside? They look rusty. I wouldn't want my animal.
They're gone. They're gone with the grant.
Are they?
Yep, it's gonna be a beautiful building.
Good.
We're actually.
Yeah, I was just by there the other day.
We're not
Oh my
gonna
God,
have
I
that.
wouldn't want
We're
mine
going
in
to-
there.
Well, your dog wouldn't be, because we're
No,
not gonna allow him. But more importantly, the walls, the fencing will be gone, and we're going to be putting in, cinder block. So that way it keeps the dog from biting at the fence and each other, and it also provides the warmth and protection to the dog.
Good.
Thank you, Mrs. Toy. Anyone further?
Susan Kims, I'd like to expand on the New York State Fire Code 2010, Section 307. If you go through and you read each section, 307.1, 307.4, you'll find that it does state that a town can prohibit open burning.
Yes, we can prohibit it. We're granted the authority to prohibit it. We don't have anything right now that prohibits it. That's what the idea of the ordinance is. The New York State Fire Prevention Code 2010 is wholly separate from the New York State Department of Environment and Conservation
Okay,
regulations.
and I went to their site also, and their stance was, yes, towns and villages, cities, counties can pass ordinances that are stricter than and not inconsistent with the open fires regulation.
No one's saying that.
And that's what we intended to
That's
do.
what we're going to attempt. That's exactly it.
So-
Thank you, Mrs.
So
Kim.
Jeffrey put together a nice first go around and it talks
We
about,
should show it to, oh, good. Take a peek at that, Mrs. Kim.
it gives you footages from a building, but we're gonna have words of minimum and maximum, and things like that. So, yeah, it talks about the type of fire pit you can have, so.
We're gonna work on it. We'll have a public hearing, Mrs. Kim. Thank you so much.
I really do think it, I mean, you're.
We're going to have a public hearing, and I ask you to take a peek at what Jeffrey put together and bring your thoughts to that public hearing. Thank you so much.
Can I keep this?
We want you to. Very good. Jeffrey, is there anyone else that has anything? And do we have kids out here, I'm sure. And they have school tomorrow, so I don't want to keep them past.
I have work tomorrow.
I have work tomorrow too. That being said, Jeffrey, do you have anything for us? Very good. Lauren, do you have anything for us?
Just very quickly, because we do have a variety of ages in the audience. This Wednesday, we'll be hosting open interviews from 3:15 to 4:15 at the CCL for ice rink guards. You do need to know how to skate and be 16 years of age or older. So tell all your friends.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Chief Dennis,
For
do you?
those of you who, before we get to Chief Dennis, for those of you who do Facebook, I've been sharing posts from Recreation, and it gets out to more people. So if you share, then we'll get to a larger volume, and maybe we'll get enough applicants.
Please share, and if you're interested, it's on the website.
On the website, okay. I encourage you to stay off of Facebook. But that being said, Chief Dennis, do you have anything?
Nope, I'm good this evening, madam.
Thank you so much. John Fence, Town Attorney, do you have anything?
I want to apologize to Sue for interrupting your question when I already knew what you were going to say, and I was so eager to give you a right answer. I apologize. Other than that, nothing.
Very good. Jacqueline Pelzer, Town Clerk, do you have anything? Very good.
When do the school tax bills go up?
They were picked
school taxes that went up.
We have nothing to do with school taxes. Please.
That being said, Councilman Hanley, do you have anything for us tonight?
I do not.
Very good. Councilman Hart, do you have anything for us
I'd
tonight?
like to ask a question. I know that we have been talking about hawk lights on Union Road, especially in front of the community center and say between center and Seneca Street. Can you give us an update on that? I know there's been conversations, but I haven't heard anything lately.
I know Jeff thinks you're asking him. No, the hawk light is a high-intensity activated crosswalk. And I've been talking with Mr. Tanner about doing that. Adding this device will provide pedestrian on this very busy Union Road. And I think it will move traffic in a safer way and provide a gap, if you will, for and afford the public safety from one side of Union Road to the other. So we've instructed the town engineer to reach out to New York State DOT, and we're asking the New York State DOT to do what they call a warrant survey. And that's a traffic study, and if it warrants a hawk light, then we, as the town of West Seneca, will ask for permission to install a hawk light. And given that this is money that's available for safe sidewalks to school, the hawk light costs around $250,000, but it also provides the opportunity for the public to ease that way from one side of the street to the other, which unfortunately we can see that issue. We get so many complaints from moms and dads that bringing their bicycles across the street because this campus is getting so much use. So that is going to afford that public safety.
Can you, do you have any idea, do we have any idea yet what kind of grant money or?
There's enough grant money to pay for the grant, to pay for it.
Pay for the whole thing?
Yes, this time next year, the town will be recipient of over $12 million in grant funding. So, that being said, it's in the works, we're asking for it, and hopefully, obviously, with the traffic we have on Union Road, will afford us the opportunity, so.
The sooner the better.
The sooner the better is right, because this campus is very busy. So, before we close tonight, I just would like everyone for attending. I'd like to thank all those men and women who serve this great country and continue to serve.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I would ask that any of our high schoolers that are here this evening, feel free to come on up here and we'll sign your paperwork. And everyone else, have a great week. God bless. Meeting adjourned.